Nice, thank you. So, our next panel will be moderated by Jennifer Petrela from Mentorat, Quebec. Jennifer, please join us on the stage. You're there. I thought you were there. Hi.
Thank you very much, Gilles. And thank you again, Tristan, for that very touching témoignage. So my name is Jennifer Petrela. I'm here as the representative of a nonprofit organization that promotes good mentorship practices in the province of Quebec, Canada, and the rest of the Francophone world. One of the things we do a lot of at Mentorat Quebec is we help companies implant inclusive mentorship programs for their staff, by their staff. So we'll go in and help a company kind of design, implement, and evaluate mentorship programs, but we will also train mentors and mentees on racism, sexism, other forms of discrimination and bias, so that we're not just mentoring for the status quo, so that we're not replicating the same kind of power imbalances that are, unfortunately very much still present on the Quebec territory in Canada, but we are actually hoping to level the playing field for people who have obstacles on the basis of various identity factors. What's interesting about this is that companies have their own culture. So we know that internally companies and enterprises have their own culture, but we also know that companies in general reflect the territory where they kind of developed. So a company in Quebec, for example, will not only make different products or sell different services, but the way that they market those products, the way that they treat their employees, and the way that they do mentoring will be very different than, for example, a company in France or a company in the United States, because of our politics, because of our history, because of our language. And I'm very excited about the panel here today because we have with us three representatives of companies in France that are going to show us how it's done here. And as Gilbert and Fiona mentioned, over the last 3 days, we've heard a lot of really, really great material on the kind of political conditions that are necessary for mentorship to work in a place, how to evaluate mentorship programs, best practices and research, what works for mentees, what works for mentors, but we have not heard all that much about what makes corporations tick. Why do corporations invest in mentoring, not within, for their own employees as we do in Quebec, but in fact in social mentoring? So please everybody, help me welcome to the stage my three panelists. Please rise. Thank you. Have a seat. So I will introduce you all briefly. Thank you very much. We have with us today Constance De Bremond. Constance, you're the head of Compétences, solidaires, that is to say community engagement projects at AXA Atout Cœur, which is the NGO arm of AXA Insurance here in France. Thank you for being here, Constance. We have with us Patrick de Villepin, who's head of volunteering at BNP Paribas. You're responsible for motivating staff to volunteer in community activities. And we have Gilles Vermot Desroches, who is the Chief Corporate Citizenship Officer at Schneider Electric. Gilles, you're also co-president of the group in charge of corporate social engagement at MEDEF, which is France's largest business advocacy group. So thank you again for being here. Constance, let's start with you. So Constance has been part of the HR team at AXA Insurance. AXA Insurance is one of the largest insurance companies in France for 14 years. For the past 2.5 years, you've been in charge of the NGO arm, the foundation arm of AXA, which is called AXA Atout Cœur, Community Engagement Projects. We've just heard from Tristan. My understanding is that AXA sponsored Tristan's project. What I would like to know from you, Constance, you have a lot of requests for funding coming across your desk. Here comes a request for funding a mentorship, community mentorship program. We know why mentorship is good for mentors and mentees. Why did AXA Atout Cœur feel that it was good for AXA? Yeah, what's wrong with?
Now it's working?
Oh, thank you so much. We had to tap it. We had to tap it.
Thanks for this invitation. Thank you for listening to us. I'm still a lot of emotion with the video we saw, even if I saw it a lot of times. Each time is the same effects. Why does AXA incubated Gravir pour Grandir's program? Because it was a matter of connection, you know? People met and say, why not? Why won't we do that? And it was the perfect moment for AXA Atout Cœur, so AXA Heart in Action, the NGO you were talking about, because it was the right moment for AXA Atout Cœur to develop Mentorat. With the collective Mentorat and with all the companies that are in here, we collectively together wanted to create an enormous wave of engagement for engaging people on Mentorat in France. So it's not only AXA Chapelle, it's really collectively working together to create an environment where people can engage. What is Mentorat? Why is it important? Why should we care about people?
Okay.
And Tristan's opportunity is really the showcase of this experience of Mentorat. Of course, it's extreme and climbing mountains is amazing and everyone can't do that. But it's a start. And it's a way of talking about Mentorat to tease people and say, Mentorat is always also very simple. It can be taking care of people in your home, outside, meeting, seeing some stuff out there. So it was the best showcase, you know, for us and Vitrine to say, come and get curious about Mentorat.
So this is interesting because, you know, I think France is a little bit unique, and we have here, I believe, 24 different countries. So what I'm retaining from this in terms of the Canadian context is that you felt in some case that it was important to create a kind of critical mass of companies to move mentorship forward. So you weren't thinking of it just in terms of benefits to AXA. You were saying to yourself, AXA is a big player. If I can join forces with other companies, then we can really make mentorship move forward. Is that?
Exactly. There's no competition for Mentorat. We are all together and they will all say the same thing. And we're working with Collectif Mentorat, the collective of the 38. So all big companies feel that it's our responsibility, each of our big companies, to engage, to get to know what is Mentorat, why it's key for taking care together of youth. And because it's for the country, you know? The
Right.
people that we're taking care of today with Mentorat are the people that are going to come in our companies and transform our companies. So if we don't take care of people today, what are going to become our companies tomorrow? So it's really a collective, and it's much more than AXA's topic or a BNP, no, it's really a collective one for France. It's really a responsibility of all companies to ask questions saying, how can I ensure people know Mentorat exists, and how can I give envy, enthusiasm, and demystify this topic to be sure that people know what it is and ask themselves the question, why shouldn't I be a mentor?
Interesting. Gilles, you have a role which is also important in terms of critical mass because you are here as the representative of MEDEF. So MEDEF is Mouvement des Entreprises de France, Movement of French Enterprise, which is, you know, the largest federation of employers. I believe you have 13, more or less 1,400 corporate members, right? So large, medium, and small enterprises that are members. Last year, you published a guide with a colleague of yours explaining why mentorship was so powerful for mentees. But you also are trying to encourage your members, MEDEF's members, to do mentorship. What argument do you make for them in terms of the benefits to their corporations?
Thank you. First, it's amazing to have a lot of people for 42 countries. 42? 24. Next time 42. 24. Yeah, just because when we are speaking about mentorship, we very often we speak country by country. I have the experience in Schneider Electric to have a specific NGO, the name is volunteering, to push people everywhere around the world to be a volunteer in NGO, and in this manner to be volunteer, to be active in mentorship. But to see here a lot of people with more or less the same idea in order to progress together and to express that it's not only something that we do somewhere, even if each time it's a question of relationship between two people, but in the same time, it's a new spirit to speak differently about the common good between public sector, private sector, people from different networks. First, it's very good. Secondly, Yes, I have the experience of the big large worldwide company Schneider Electric, but I'm here for the MEDEF. You mentioned MEDEF more or less is in France, 190,000 companies. And why we push in MEDEF this topic? It's because mentorship, inclusive mentorship, is something which is very exciting for people in the company and in the big company, but not in the other companies. It's something that we can put in place everywhere in all the company. Yes, the big companies have an organization to push that, to understand that, to be more active with NGOs and with people. But in the territory, we have a lot of medium-sized, small company. And if mentorship is something very good for people, not only in the big companies.
But how do you make that argument?
It's why when we have the discussion with a small or medium-sized company, we can express why it's very important. And for me, we have two reasons. The first reason, mentorship is something which is close to the value of the company. And very often today, when we are speaking about the purpose of the company, we are speaking about the value. And with this value, we build to organize the community of the people in the company. When we are speaking about mentorship, it's not something in top-down reality. We write the value and you have to implement. It's something that we build together in bottom-up, in the relationships that we have. It's why it's very important we are close to value, and never we can build a company without value. First thing. Second thing, open the windows. Something it's very important for a company, it's to open the window. A manner to open the window, it's to go through. It's to have relationship with people who are not totally in the first circle of stakeholders. In each time, the reality of mentoring. Then, the first thing, it's for the company to open the way to support people, to have new relationships, to be in a win-win attitude with someone perhaps far, but it's a good way to implement that. And why we would like to push that? It's because we are becoming in a new reality everywhere in Europe and in some other OECD country. The scarcity is very different today than yesterday. Yesterday, during the last 40 years, the scarcity was we don't have enough jobs. We have a lot of people, but not enough jobs. Today, we know that in the next decade, companies have to be very involved to create relationship with people who are far from companies. Mm-hmm. And each time, we could build this relationship one by one. When we are speaking about Mentorat, it's not something 1,000 people and 1,000 people. We try to build something one by one in the deep relationship, and in this deep relationship, sure, we can build something which changes everyone. We are everyone responsible of each other.
So that's a very interesting concept. The concept that we're going deep. We're not going broad, we're going deep. Yes. In other words, we're going for quality as opposed to quantity. We were talking a little bit earlier before our talk, Constance, about the transformations that you've seen, the feeling that you've seen change within AXA, because the number of mentors within AXA has grown so large. Can you tell us a little bit?
Yes, what we try to do since the last 3 years is to, I did some gardening, so I put my boots on, and I went to all the level of the organization, and I talked about Mentorat with testimonials, with stories, meeting people, coming and inviting people to share their experience. So I throw some seeds everywhere, you know, and I was not HR. I was talking about people. I was talking about relationships. I was talking about the NGOs, so the volunteering. I never forced anyone. I just open the light, open the window you're talking about, Gilles, and see what happens. And the magic happens. The wave is starting, you know? It's just the beginning. But we need to stay humble. We need to keep this momentum, this energy, and keep working on this energy, saying, why not you? Come and see.
So I hear you saying that there's a different energy in the company now. Can you tell us just a little bit more about that?
Yes, there's much more energy on this, and on engagement, I think because of the context in France, but also because we created this start wave. So now we need to continue on this, working on this. But I feel, and that's what I preferred in my job in the last 3 years, is to feel the engagement, you know? People are asking questions, people are getting curious about what is it, who are the other people. So curious about people, curious about caring. And we really need to continue on this, but stay humble because it's human relationships. So
Interesting. You just mentioned the concept of a wave, and we have with us Patrick, who works for BNP Paribas. So for people who don't know, BNP is, I believe, France's largest bank and the second largest in Europe. Very ambitious on the environmental side. I believe that you're an industry leader in terms of divesting from fossil fuels and zero emissions, that kind of thing. So when I read a little bit about the profile, and also you contribute the largest number of mentors to social mentoring from one single company. So we're talking about a wave. Patrick. Tell us about how far you think this wave could go, not just in France, but in terms of Europe. Where can mentoring go?
Well, first step is in France.
Okay.
And second one is in Europe. In France, it's a great ambition. In Europe today is just the beginning of the story and initiative. So in France first, let me say that really we had as objective to onboard max FTEs in social mentoring. And that's not so easy. It's a big deal. It's a big challenge. It's not so easy, and it's a lot of work to convince day by day someone to be part of it. So we had a lot of pressure from the government, a lot of pressure from the NGOs, the Collectif Mentorat, to make it real, to have numbers. So we couldn't climb the mountain. Of course, it's a dream, but we had to climb the figures, to grow the figures. So we doubled in 2 years' time, we doubled the figures. And now we are 1.9% of total FTEs in France engaged in social mentoring. So that's great for France. It's a nice ambition. And we did it also doing mentoring with our partners, easy mentoring, mostly online, at least 3 months. But the important part was to convince people to be in it, to onboard. And we did it, and the success, I feel it also, is because all this is in our DNA since years. Because we've worked a lot in hirings, in BNP Paribas HR, in diversity, code of conduct, suburbs projects, since years now. And in our culture, we really feel that we have to promote equality of chances. We want to be the corporate company, the top corporate company for equality of chances, at least in France. In Europe, it's different. It's an initiative, and to bring people together, entities, countries together, it's different because, as you said, Jennifer, they're not talking about the same mentoring. So my idea is to bring 5, 6 countries together at the beginning to do any kind of mentoring, corporate mentoring, social mentoring, of course, refugees, disabled, any kind of mentoring, internal, external, just to begin and to discuss about what we could do next. But that's the beginning of a nice story to tell at the end, because I think that we will be more together if we have many countries on board. And that's part of our employee engagement program, 1 Million Hours to Help, that we launched 5 years ago.
Well, I think that's fascinating because we come back to the idea of critical mass. And we also come back to a certain flexibility because you're allowing each country to tailor mentoring, to advance it, according to its local priorities, but carrying together our projet commun, like a common goal, if we will, so that we get mentoring visible, and we also get a laboratory visible. So perhaps here it's youth, there it's refugees, or whatever. Yeah, excellent. Did you want to add something, Gilles?
I would like to add something and close to the themes that we saw together. A mentorship, inclusive mentorship, it's a beautiful idea. And we have a lot of winners, but it's not easy. And we have to promote the fact that it's not easy. In the same reality that in the experience in the film. At the beginning, it's difficult. It's difficult to have the meeting, a meeting with someone very, very different. I'm in a company, sometimes the leader of the company. I have a relationship with someone, not my generation, not my place in the city, not the same level of training, not the same reality in terms of family. And we need to know to the employees, to our colleagues, that it's hard. It's not easy, but it's a question of will. And in this question of will, in this relationship, day after day, not the first time. We don't win something in the first meeting. We need to be, each of us, the mentor and the mentor, in a relationship where we would like to be in a learning expedition. It's not only a learning expedition for the people that we mentor. It's a learning expedition for everybody. And in that, it's a strength for the company. Because we need to have people able to speak with everybody. We need to have people able to be the coach, the mentor of someone which is new, and we have to promote soft skills, a lot of it. But for that, it's a question of meeting between people. Mentorship, it's a very, very good learning to be able to speak with people who are very different than me. And in this case, it's a question of strengths. In this case, we can build a lot of things together, and agree it's a question of care. It's more complex to be in the care, not only with the wallet and the money, but with myself. And it's something which is very important when we are speaking about value for the company. It's why the MEDEF and an organization to push all the company on the territory to be more committed, to understand the question of impact. The impact is a unique manner to evaluate mentorship, and I'm sure the impact is great for the youth, especially when we are in an inclusive mentorship, and it's great for the company and for people.
I think those are fabulous, and I think we have many links to make with mountaineering, right? Because it is about will, and it's also about that rope that you mentioned, Tristan. People forming a community and feeling, look, I'm not going to fall. And also the idea of adapting one's approach, right? So sometimes it's tough love. You know, get up, you can do it. And sometimes it's just, I'm frightened too. Please go ahead.
I think it's incredible how much mentoring changes individually the mindset and also transform collectively a company. I'm not the same as 2 years ago before beginning my mentoring program with mentees. Of course, we always speak about what it brings, soft skills, management skills, and so on. But it's more deeper than that. And collectively, let me say that our company is not the same than a few years ago, 20 years ago. We don't wear ties. We're not bankers anymore. We don't wear ties anymore. We don't wear ties. So we're different. But it's not only, well, that's...
No. There's a group here called La Cravate Solidaire, right?
This transformation is really huge because we invested in CSR. We were the first company to have a company engagement direction.
Right.
And then I think the society has changed. So we're not bankers anymore. We are the society. And mentoring, social mentoring, helped us to make this change of mindset and this collective transformation.
That is transformative. Now I'd like us to take a few seconds to perhaps answer some questions that may have come from the crowd.
Yeah. So we, for the people who were here yesterday and the day before that, you can ask your questions through the app. For the people who are new today, there will be people in the audience with a microphone walking around. So if you have any questions for the panel, Jennifer will stay the moderator.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
Please, go ahead. I see a question there.
Microphone is not on. We don't hear.
Yes, I work in a structure helping companies implementing
mentoring programs. And I was wondering, maybe you said it, but I didn't hear, how many companies in the mid-def do mentoring today?
To be precise, I don't know. I don't know. The MEDEF is not a place where we measure, we have such type of measurement. We know that many large corporations understand very well how mentorship is the manner to move, in the manner to go through the others and so on. And you have a good example with my two friends and my own company. And the will of the MEDEF is to push in each territory as a big organization, business by business, to understand that is not only for the big companies, but for all the company. We have an agreement between Collectif du Mentorat and the MEDEF to make sensitive people, to embark people, to reduce sometimes the big company are afraid that many things are very difficult to do, and we are here to support them, but we don't have this measurement.
Any other questions?
See a question here.
Thank you for your very personal stories. My name is Sylvia, I'm Director of Mentoring Europe. I have a very short question on if you have ideas on how to ignite those small and medium enterprises that you were talking about, because it's very powerful to see how more and more of you are on board to encourage us and to be able to grow in different countries in Europe. How can we make the next step to also connect to those small and medium enterprises to feel this social connectivity, responsibility, and also learning path?
To answer?
That's for you.
I can try to answer even if AXA is not a little company, but I think it's the same idea for everyone. It's to be very close to the local, and so get to the on the field and tell stories. What is Mentorat? Meet people who benefit from it, and open the eyes and the heart of people and say, oh, who helped me during my life? Who mentored me? We all had people who change our way of looking and help us choose something, a path in our lives. We can help people change their way of looking on the future. Everyone in this room, everyone in France can help someone. If everyone helps someone, the world and the wave will take. So I think it's very the same for big companies and small ones. Go local, invite NGOs dedicated that are near your companies, and let them tell the stories, meet the people that benefit, and look how the energy comes. But it's just not once a month, every 2 months, you know, the energy needs to be, it's a momentum you need to create. So that it's not just, we did it, it's one, no. People needs to, it takes time to take this engagement. So many people come a few times, like 3 to 4 times, before they're really engaged. They need to listen to the story more than once.
And point number one, everywhere we are a small company. In each territory, in each city, AXA, BNP, Schneider, we are a small company, like the other small company. And because it's a relationship between someone and someone, it's more or less the same reality. It's true that we push that in the big company, but second answer. When we are speaking about ESG, CSR, impact for the large company, sure, the next big trend is to embark the value chain. And it's not only to do something internally, it's to embark our own value chain. In our own value chain, we have a lot of partners who are not only a big company. It's true for when we are speaking about environment, carbon and climate. It's true when we are speaking about many things, decent work, a lot of things. But it's true about the manner to be citizen for a company. It's why, for example, in Schneider, we have a specific organization in France, the name is Sans Chance, Sans Emploi. In each city, more than 50 cities, with our partners, locally, we contribute to embark the people in a way to find with them, especially the youth from the suburbs, the manner to understand the future, to have a training, to go to the company. And each time we do that with our partner, each time these partners a small local company, and very, very good relationship between all the company and ourselves with our partner, because when we share that together, we share something which is very important to make stronger our relationship.
So that's very interesting. You know, in the Quebec context, Sylvia, more Quebecers are employed by small and medium enterprise than are employed by large enterprise. So what Mentorat Quebec did was we developed a toolkit for putting mentoring in small and medium enterprises, because in Quebec there are certain differences. Like you don't sometimes even have a human resource person in a small enterprise. You have somebody who does 3 different jobs. So we developed this thing called Circuit PME, and it has a toolkit that small and medium enterprises can use, download from our site, and kind of implement in small, very kind of like repetitive blocks, you know, the same kind of things, that allow them to do it on a low scale, on non-complicated, not intricate, but enough to get mentorship into the culture.
Jennifer, do you think we have, time for one more question from the app?
Okay, perfect.
Yeah? Okay. It's a question by Mark Watt, I don't know where. He says, do you think a global company might support mentoring programs globally? So
Multinational.
question,
It's a dream.
The field in France is enormous. We're not still there. I mean, there's a lot of used to help. But yes, it's the plan for after, you know, go Europe and then in the world, of course. And the other thing I wanted to add to Sylvia's point, because it's key, as mentoring is really volunteering, so it's on personal will, it's really, it has a lot of impact when heads of COMEX members are role models on this. Because you can ask people to become a mentor if you have natural engagement from people that are visible and known and that share their personal testimony, and it's not corporate. It has so much impact. And so the idea is to seek and find who in the COMEX and in the heads of has this will and has this in his personal engagement. And when you find them and they are okay to testimony, it's just incredible.
In Schneider Electric, this program is bigger in India than in France, not only in number of people, but in the manner to push the program. Especially, for example, in this country where we are newcomer in the company, in the way of induction of this newcomer, we ask them to be mentor of someone else externally. It's a manner to share the value in the reality together. It's why we have this worldwide NGO that I mentioned at the beginning, and we have that in all the countries in order to push not only mentoring, but mentoring is a part of this NGO. We have many other programs to be active in the company. Each time that we deploy something, we deploy that for all the people in Schneider Electric, not only for the French.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just we can do mentoring anywhere as long as we have the NGOs present, because let's not forget that they are doing the connection between mentors and mentees, the matching, and so they are key.
And if you want to discover the European experience for Gravir pour Grandir, the movies that you saw, it's in the head of Tristan, so you can go and talk with him maybe to be part of it.
Thank you so much, everybody, for this wonderful panel. Please help me thank our panelists.